a little bit of chance to warm up, get on in here. But we're going to start off this meeting today the way that we start off every single meeting, and that's with wins. I would love it if I would love it if anybody's feeling bold, if they've got a good win to share, small, large, we like to celebrate them all. So if you'll just unmute and tell us what good news has been happening. Okay.
I'll go.
I see. Oh, please.
Well, I sat down with another company last night, something we've been working on for a couple months now. And I finally got all the paperwork and a purchase agreement on, we're in negotiations of us buying out another flooring store. And I've got all the info needed with a purchase agreement right here. So that was yesterday's meeting. So it's a pretty big deal for us that we're, have the real possibility of purchasing another store and more than doubling the size of our company with a signature.
Yes, that is very exciting, Brent.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yes, I know you've been working towards that for a while.
Yeah, it's coming together.
Yes, it's huge. I see that Arnold's Plumbing is on this call, and I'm sure, Dale, you're like, oh gosh, Nicole, don't call me out. Dale, if you're able to unmute, I don't know if you're in a position to be able to do so, but I know that when we met on Monday, we were looking at February of this year compared to February's of the past. And if you're able to unmute, I'd love for you to share. If not, I'll just go ahead and brag for you. Oh no. I know that Dale is in the position now where he is only in the office 3 days a week as the business owner. And so he might be at home, he might be in the office today, but only 3 years ago when he started with us, he was the only man in the entire company. And so very thrilled to see him finally getting that time freedom. But what he was telling me this year is he was like, Nicole, February feels really slow. Like it just feels slow. I'm a little bit worried about lead flow, and we know historically February tends to be a slower month. Is there anybody here that kind of feels like February, we're in the dead of winter through the holidays can tend to be a little bit of a slower month? I'm seeing some hands. And you're always going to have months that are slower. You're always going to experience that. But our goal is to make them as busy as possible. I see Dale just responding in the chat. He says he's on the treadmill in his PJs. So it sounds like he's working from home today, not working at all. And so we're celebrating for him. That's a win in itself. But I was looking at his numbers and I was like, Dale, I realized that February is a little bit slower than what we're used to doing revenue wise each month. But you're $26,000 in revenue higher this February than you were last February. And yes, February is a slower month than normal, but that's a lot of growth. That's a ton of growth. Plus, he had a 10% higher profit this February than last. And so I wanted to share that win because sometimes when you're in the middle, it can feel like failure. You can feel like, oh, I didn't do as good this month as last month. But a lot of times when you're in the middle, when you're making progress, it can be hard to see how far you've actually come. And so I wanted to take that moment and celebrate Dale and how much the company has grown and how much it is continuing to grow.
Huge.
Any other wins?
I've got one.
Okay, tell us the good news.
We've been working on a job for a big lawyer in our town, and we've been working on it for about probably 2.5 months, and we finally completely closed it out. And it's probably been the most that I've made 5 years of being in business.
Wow. That is awesome.
Come on, Christopher.
Congratulations. That is huge. More to come. Setting new standards, breaking new records. All right. Well, Rudy, I will let you get this show on the road here today. I know that this topic might sound familiar to some of you, but this is always a good topic to cover. If you probably would ask any of the coaches here today, what's the number one thing I could do for my marketing and for my brand? Probably 10 times out of 10, you're going to hear us say the word Google reviews to the point that you might be sick of hearing it. But
Thank
I'm
you
going to
for
let
the-
I'm going to let
What a-
Rudy tell us all about Google reviews here today.
I love the introduction here. I want to take emphasize this because I mean exactly like Nicole said, you know, it's easy to hear this and think, oh, I've heard this talk several times from my coach. You know, every once in a while we'll talk about our Google review count. I really want to take time, and maybe you've never heard this talk, and you're going to love it. But let's reevaluate how we're doing things during this call. If you're not taking time to question which areas you've gotten casual in, then this is a waste of a call and you can leave right now. Don't leave, please. Just stay. That was a bluff. But really take the time to question what part of these key principles am I actually implementing, and where can I improve? This can be a very useful call if you let it. So I want to call this just gathering Google reviews like a pro. You're the guy. You gather Google reviews. You've got it figured out. You're doing it. It doesn't mean it's easy. It means you're focused on it and you're doing what you can. So, you know, unless you're getting a dozen Google reviews a week, and I know that's relative to business size and industry and so forth, but unless you're getting about a dozen Google reviews a week, this call's for you. Okay, let's get after this. What I wanted to start with is just emphasizing the importance of reputation. In fact, I put here reputation builds trust, which is the first mistake. Really, a good reputation builds trust. A solid reputation builds trust. So here's a question I have for you. How are you building your reputation? It's a rhetorical question. We don't have to get into that just yet. Well, in 2023 here, the most effective way to build a good reputation is to build your digital reputation. When people look you up, what do they find out? More. Do they trust you less? Just because you put effort into it doesn't mean it's working for you. So, you know, this is why Google reviews are key. Google reviews create trust with your potential customers, with Google users, which turns out to be 90% of the internet, or 90% of searches are done on Google. So I'm not talking about Bing here right now. Okay, and that's a side note. Let's focus on, if I'm gritty on Thanksgiving with dessert here, I'm going to focus on 90% of the pie, not the 10% sliver and the 3% sliver here, and so on. Okay, so I want to start off with the most exciting thing. I just want to hear you guys. Let's get after this. Be ready. I want to ask you guys, who's got the most Google reviews on this phone call? Everyone, I don't want this. I want to hear just everyone battling to get their number out. Let's hear it. Who's got at least 10 Google reviews?
I got 10.
Booyah. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know who said it, but I saw a hand raise and I saw some reactions. All right, let's keep on going. Who's got at least 50?
I got at least 50.
Oh, Bobby, that's what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep it going. Let's just hear the numbers. Anything over 50, say what you have.
267.
Oh,
Yeah.
you couldn't wait a little bit?
Gabe's Electrical. Oh,
All
Dale
right.
with Arnold's Plumbing. I was hoping that he would chime in. He has 590.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go.
And when he
Dale.
started, he had less than 11. This was 3 years ago.
And what a testament here to the power of Google reviews, because he's in his pajamas on a treadmill right now. All right, well, here's the official crowning here to you, Dale. Let me go back right here. There you go. You're the king of Google reviews. Aji, you're second. I'm sure there's some people in between over there, but all this to see is some of you who haven't really gotten into this yet, these Google reviews work. Now I'm gonna pound this point till you're sick of it. This is great clients I have over here. I'm just gonna go through some of these clients. Surface Renew, they are the highest rated, most reviewed tub refinishing company by far in Arkansas. I think the closest one has 20 Google reviews. This has dramatically expanded their reach, and now they literally just reviewed their numbers before having this call here, and they get a couple hundred Google leads a year. That's kind of nice.
And I want to emphasize that, you know, his competitors only have 20. Sometimes I get asked the questions like, oh, so we just need to get 30. It's like, what mindset or is poverty mindset is that? No, you don't need to just get 30. You want to cream the competition. You want to extend your reach. Don't be satisfied with just 30. Look at Surface Renew. They could have stopped at just 30. They have more than their competitors. No, they have 342. They didn't let that stop them.
Absolutely. And not to mention, they actually have gone beyond this, and they're opening other locations and getting Google reviews for those. You know, Doyle Plumbing here, 433. Actually, both of these companies started with single-digit Google reviews, single digits. No kidding. And they've been able to double their revenue since starting with us. Doyle Plumbing. Same thing. The Pink Dumpster. There were about 80 Google reviews. You know, that's the number you're like, well, that's close to 100. That's not so bad. Well, with the focus, you get to 569 and more. That's not stopping. They're the highest rated dumpster rental company in the entire state of Georgia, if not the nation. You know, I haven't found anybody who had more than they do at the moment. So, you know, Home Electrical Services, they have doubled their Google their revenue since starting with us. 145 reviews isn't by accident. Dittmer Ditching, this is to show that depending on the industry here, you know, excavating, you don't necessarily need, I mean, it's good. Let's get as many as we can here, but they have 85 Google reviews, less than 100, and they're still dramatically benefiting from this because it turns out in this industry, very few people have Google reviews. And just to top off that point here, Theo Ballmer, they got to about 40. As soon as they got to about 40 Google reviews, they went from 0, maybe 1 or 2 leads from Google a month, 1 or 2 a month, to on their peak season 1 or 2 a day. And that's just, turns out 52 Google reviews is all it took for them to be the highest rated in their county. So you see the pattern here. This works. And this is just some of my clients that I just picked out. I didn't even bother the other coaches to show off what's going on in their world here. Okay. Now, a lot of you have heard this a million times. I'm going to kind of brush through this. So if this is the first time you're hearing this, just go back and rewatch the video. But this is just, I just want to put some of these stats here because these are very important. Google reviews. Why? Why do they work? They increase your credibility. 81% of customers read reviews before purchasing a product or service. Another way I like to say this is Google reviews build trust, just like we talked about your reputation here. They're going to look, what is this person's reputation online before I purchase from them? Let me find out. 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. That's according to Inc. magazine. They increase your visibility. They will actually help you rank higher on Google. That's one of the biggest factors that's in your control. You know, we're not going to get into everything that affects your Google business listing here yet, or today. But this is one of the biggest factors, the weightiest factors that you have a direct effect over, a direct control over. And that's according to Google. Google mentions that on their support forums and so forth. Yes, Google reviews will help you rank higher. It's one of the factors to your ranking on your Google listing. You know, what about other review platforms and search engines? Like we already talked about, over 90% of searches are done on Google. Let's focus on our highest and best use of time here right now. All right, right off the bat, just some quick strategies if you're new to this. This is just one of the things we're going to brush through, and then we're going to get really deep and specific about some tips. Number one, if you haven't started this, please make sure, ask yourself, any friends or family members I can bother for a quick character review? You may have not done work for them, but at the very least, they can say, hey, I've known so-and-so for a while, and they're okay. No. And they're a great person. I trust their work ethic. You know, they're a person of quality. high character. Just get as many of those as you can, at least 10. And if you can get more than that, please talk to your second cousin you've never even met. Hello, my name's Jonathan. Can I get a Google review? Be that guy when you walk in the room at an event and they're like, oh no, Jonathan's here. Has he asked you for a Google review yet? Oh no. Be that person. All right. Second thing here. This is something we do on an ongoing basis. So if you haven't done this in a while, check with your coach. But if you have at least, if you haven't done this already, this is something we're going to do for you, but it's just grab all your customer emails and we're going to send out a Google review campaign for you. If you haven't done this in a while, let's make sure that we have a good chunk of emails so that we can do this effectively for you. We don't want to do this a new campaign for every 2 emails you get in. And then thirdly here, just ask all customers moving forward using the Google review link. And this is point 3 is really where we're gonna dive into this deep. So if I'm gonna give you just a quick example on how to find the Google review link. Let me see. Let's do. Make sure you're on the. I didn't even mention Marathon Plumbing. They weren't even on that list. You type in your business name into Google. Make sure you're actually on the access to your listing. So you should see this if this is your account and you have access to it. Click on your Google reviews here, Google review account, and hit get more reviews. When you do this, Google will actually give you an automatic 50 reviews for free. I'm just kidding. That doesn't actually happen. I saw some people just scrambling for their keyboard right there. Okay, this is the Google review link you want to use. Find your business listing, click on reviews, hit get more reviews, and then copy this link right here. This is the one you give to all your technicians. This is the ones you text to everybody, to your friends, your family, your customers. Use this link. It will never fail you. And then copy it and go from there. You all feel good about that? All right, if you don't, let me know. Okay, now let's get into this. Here's how not to ask for a Google review. Who's been to the drive-thru anywhere? Hey, here's your food. Fill out the survey for a chance to win $500. Thank you, bye. How many times have you filled out that survey? Has anybody ever filled out that survey?
No.
Do you feel compelled to fill out that survey? No. The only time I filled out that survey, and we're going to get into this, is when someone looked at me directly in the eye and they said, hey, this actually really helps me out. Would you be willing to fill out this survey? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. And it was like a 20-minute survey. I was like, this is baloney. Why did I commit to this? But I went through it. I didn't even care about the little dumb incentive there because it was so vague. And it's like, okay, there's probably one drawing a year and they give someone $500 or whatever. But here's why this is not good. Number one, it's not personal. You don't feel compelled to help somebody. Number two, it's a strange incentive without specifics. You don't even know, okay, what are the odds here? Very few people are motivated by just vague incentives here. It's quick. It doesn't seem important to the employee. They're just like, all right, here you go. Thank you, bye. There's a survey. Okay, I checked my box. My employer is going to be happy with me. It's not easy to fill out that survey, even if you wanted to. You have to enter some 25-digit code to trust me, it's not worth it. And then the employee didn't even ask for a commitment. This is everything you don't want to do, and this is why it never works. Do not be this person. However, if you just ask for your employees to start asking for Google reviews, this is how they do it. They go, hey, how was your job? Oh, it was good. All right, well, it's really helpful for us to get Google reviews. Here's a link. Thank you, bye. Actually, they actually did a few things
You're
right
lucky
there,
if
but...
they send you the link.
Right. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm giving too much credit here.
You
So I
are.
was like, hey, if you look us up on Google, you can leave a review. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. No, that's not going to work. So here's how we're going to do it. Get ready. Take some notes. I'm going to go through 10 key principles for Google reviews. So we're going to race through this. If you have questions on this, write it down or interrupt me or comments. Let's go from there. Number one, you have to ask when you're face to face. Gather the review while on site. If they walk away, then so did the review. Okay, this is a fact. They walk away, then so did the review. I know in some circumstances and industries, you may not be at the exact time face to face with them. Just know that this is the best case scenario. This is what you want to aim for. Okay, ask almost everyone. I say this because I know a lot of times when you first get into this, you start to question, oh, well, do I really deserve to ask for a review? Well, a better question is there a reason you shouldn't ask for the review? Were they visually upset? You know, was there something you messed up? If not, 99% of the time, people are actually very rarely have anything negative to say if they're being asked for a Google review. So just, you know, I'm not saying just ask every single person no matter what, but don't hesitate. If there's not a reason not to ask, then please ask. Third, you've got to incentivize your customers, especially if you're doing that. Well, you can try without incentivizing first and see how that goes. And this is just another way to put fuel to the fire. You want to put fuel to the fire, incentivize customers. Hey, if after this job is complete, you're all satisfied, and if you'd be willing to leave a review and show it to me, $10 gift card to your favorite coffee shop, or anything you want. And so if you show me the review before I leave, here's your gift card. And that the several things that allows them to, no one's going to haven't had anyone write a 1-star review and show the review to their face and then get a reward for it. So that prevents that. And then it also motivates people to try and figure out how to leave a review before you leave. And you're also there to assist them. Here's the thing. When you're doing this, do not give them the gift card or the incentive or the discount or whatever it might be, the drawing for your contest. Do not give them that until they show you the review, until you confirm there is a Google review on Google. This has happened too many times. I know someone who gave out $100 for a few reviews, but they never left the reviews. So don't do that. Next thing, incentivizing employees. This is a good thing to do. Now, here's a tip. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I find this is pretty important. When you're getting all riled up about Google reviews, you're excited, you're ready to do this. You're like, all right, employees, we're going to start gathering Google reviews. And then week 1, nobody does it. And then you're like, well, let me just try and incentivize them because maybe now they'll do it. I encourage to avoid doing that. It's better to just prove they can get a couple Google reviews without the incentive first, because they should very well be able to do that. If you start incentivizing them before they've demonstrated they can get Google reviews, and incentivizing is the only way they'll ever get a Google review. So I'm not saying it's bad to incentivize. You should, but if they're already getting 1 or 2 reviews a week, and then you can incentivize them on top of that, now you're really putting fuel to the fire. Just keep that in mind. All right.
Also, one thing to that point, I know you're running fast, but on incentivizing employees, make sure you've taken the time to train them on how to do it, just like we're going through these like key principles, because there's nothing worse than just like assuming that your employees know how to ask. And the power of role playing is huge, you guys. I know sometimes it sounds silly to role play with your employees on asking for a Google review, but then it's muscle memory. Like they will just do it going forward. All right, Rudy.
Shoot, now I realize I should have had 11 principles on here. We'll do part 2 another time. Yeah, training is very, very, very important. Role play with them. Great point, Julia. This is, I would say, one of the most important points. You've got to make it personal. You've got to make it personal. What does that mean? If it's you asking for the review or the employee, you've got to passionately explain to the customer that it really helps you out. Frame it as a favor to you personally. The employee's asking, they need to frame it as a favor for them. Hey, if you do this, this will actually really help me out. This shows my boss I'm doing a good job. My boss will give me a pat in the back and say, Matt, you've been doing a good job. Just if you tell that to them, they're going to be so much more compelled. They are more motivated by the feeling of doing something good for somebody, an altruistic act, rather than a random incentive. That's why I say 5 could be the most important. If you build that connection, and you say, hey, I really, really like if you could leave a Google review for me. It actually could give me a bonus. It could really help me out. It's gonna, and it helps out the company, but they're not as motivated by that. If you make it personal, it's gonna really help. And if you're, the business owner asking for it, you can even say, hey, this really, really helps me get more business, and it would mean so much to me. Very important. Make it personal. Nothing can replace asking face to face. I know it's like, okay, number one was ask face to face, and now you're saying the same thing again. Here's what I mean by that is tools, software, automated text, those are nice. And I've seen people get several hundred reviews through that, but don't let that take away from the very first plan of attack. Plan A is always ask face to face. So don't depend on these tools to do all the work for you, because then you're leaving reviews on the table. Nothing will ever substitute for directly asking your customers face to face. Keep that in mind. 7, get their commitment. This is huge, huge. If you combine make it personal with get their commitment, you're getting reviews on the table. You're getting reviews under your Google listing immediately. What does this mean? Get the customer's commitment by asking them directly, would you be willing to leave me a Google review? You tell them how important it is, how helpful it is to you. And then don't just say, link, goodbye. You've got to ask a yes or no question. Get a commitment from them. Is that something you'd be willing to do for me? You've got to ask that question, because when someone says yes, they feel a lot more compelled to follow through. And if they don't do it then, when you follow up with them, when an email comes through, they'll be a lot more likely to say, oh yeah, I forgot. I did commit to this. This is important to me. Let me leave a review. They'll be a lot more likely to do that. This is really important. I'm emphasizing this point because employees will never do this. They will just say, unless you tell them to, reviews are important. Thank you, bye. That's what they do. So this has to be trained. You have to put this in your role play. We talked about the Google review link, but I want to emphasize this here. You've got to text them the Google review link to your Google listing that goes directly to that section. No one will ever try and find the Google review section. No one will ever type your business name and try and figure out how to leave you a Google review, unless they're one of those local guides who thinks they're the next restaurant critic of the face of the earth. Most of your customers aren't that way. All right, this is important here as well. Don't ignore negative reviews. Don't ignore them. What do? You call them immediately, and you do what you can to make it right in their eyes. Sometimes that's right in your eyes as well, and sometimes it's not. What I mean by that is it's worth it. You have to let's do what we have to do to make sure this doesn't hinder your reputation, even if it's not true. There's a line there. You've got to respond to the review if they decide not to take it off, but don't respond aggressively. Just respond in a way that keeps in mind for other people reading these reviews, will this response look good for me or will it hurt me? That's really what we want to see. I know some of those restaurant Yelp reviews. I don't know if anyone's seen those, and a restaurant owner just lets them have it. It's kind of funny in the moment, but it's also kind of scary. It's like, do I want to go to this restaurant? This is kind of scary. So
A
don't
great
ignore them.
rule of thumb is don't respond. We don't want to ignore it, but don't respond to it immediately. Why? You're going to be a little bit emotional when it first comes in. I always tell my clients, hey, it's not going to hurt you to shoot me an email and say, hey, I just got a negative review. Here's what happened. Vent to me, vent to your coach. Tell me what happened. And then I would be more than happy to type out a little response for you to copy and paste. That's typically going to be your best bet.
Absolutely. That's a great rule. In fact, a great rule for life. When emotions are high, let's keep the mouth shut.
Yeah, take a moment. You don't need to address it right then.
All right. And here's the final point. This is key. If you're not doing this, tell your coach, please hold me to this. You've got to have weekly accountability with your team. If you're the one depending on your team, or if it's you, if you're the one gathering the reviews, then say, please, coach, make sure that I'm doing all I can with Google reviews. You haven't asked me for Google reviews in 6 months. What are you doing? You can leave out that last part, but just, you've got to have your team, your employees need a weekly checkup on the KPIs. And part of your KPIs here is how many Google reviews did you gather? Review this every single week and never give up. All the people, all the Google reviews, listings I showed you earlier, especially the ones above that 100, 300 mark, they get there because they never stop keeping that top of mind with every single employee. How many reviews did you gather last week? Okay, here's our goal. What happened there? Well, I'm asking, I promise. You know, and I had a client a couple of weeks ago said, I asked them again, and then this time they responded, well, that's my apprentice's job. That didn't go over very well. It's like, why didn't you get any reviews this week? Well, that's my apprentice's job. That's so-and-so's job. He's like, no, that's your job, and I need you to be the one asking. He can help if he wants, but you're the one being held responsible for this. Don't punt this off to somebody else. You've got to be consistent. You've got to have continual pressure on this. It turns out you behave differently throughout the week when you know, oh, on Monday morning, good old boss with me, whether I got any Google reviews or not. We're not trying to catch them. We're not trying to say, all right, here's a random checkup, pop quiz, how many Google reviews you get in the last week? No, because that didn't help them the week before. You're just trying, that's just catching them. That doesn't help anybody. We need the predictability of accountability. And sometimes it may feel dry, and we did the same thing all the time. But I'm telling you, if you let the foot off the gas, it'll begin to go from, 2 or 3 reviews or 10 reviews a week, or 1 review a week to 0 very quickly. It only takes 1 week of them noticing, so-and-so didn't ask me this week. I don't think this is important anymore, right? Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And I say this out of experience. There are so many people who mention this all the time. Victor asked here for a copy of these 10 principles, only if you give me credit for it. I'm just kidding. We'll send it. We'll have it accessible actually in the next email on Monday morning. You'll get this call recording also along with the PDF file of the slides. And oh, you missed the screenshot. I don't even know how to go back. I'm so sorry. I'll send you the slides here on Monday. Actually, I'll personally send it to you today, just so that you have that taken care of here. Victor, MGD Plumbing. Thank you for asking. Oh, that was a direct message. I didn't realize no one knows what I'm talking about. All right, guys, those are the 10 principles. Any just quick thoughts on that? Just 1 or 2 hot takes. Hey, I think this was awful, or hey, actually 2 or 3 of these points were very helpful to me, or actually I'm doing all this and I'm rocking it. Any quick hot takes here before we go to breakout rooms? All right, let's just let it out of the breakout rooms. How about that? Let me do this here.